Welcome back to 90 Feet Away. I've been looking forward to this episode for 9 months since we started doing this. I am joined today by one of my favorite human beings, Christopher Brian Rowan. Chris, thank you for being with us today. This is long overdue, my man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Been waiting for this opportunity to come on here, but you ain't had to hit me with my government name.
So you know, I met you toward the end of your professional baseball career.
Correct.
But I want to understand a little bit more about the beginnings for Chris Rowan. You know, again, born and raised in the Bronx, for people that don't know, grew up most of your life in
Mount Vernon.
Money earned in Mount Vernon.
Yes, sir.
And when did you start playing baseball, Chris?
I started playing when I was about 5. One of my uncles, Garvin Alston, who used to play in the Rockies, used to go watch him play. My mother was an athlete, so watching her play softball, watching her play football, watching her play basketball. And, you know, one of my other brothers was a semi-pro football player as well. So coming from an athletic family, I had to find my niche at a young age.
So you started playing at 5. Like, were there any inklings, and at what point did you feel like, I'm pretty good at this? Like, certain people, I had Aaron Sabato on a couple weeks ago, and you know, he said, like, he remembers hitting a ball out of the ballpark at 7 years old. I mean, that's crazy, right? Where did it start for you?
I would say when I played junior minor league, right? So it's junior minor, then little league. So junior minor, we played on one of the biggest fields in Brush Park, which was Field 1. And I remember hitting the ball off the fence. And that's when I actually woke up and I was like, I like this sport. This is my number one. Yeah.
So junior minor, I'm going to assume is like 9, 10?
No, 7.
7?
7.
So you hit a ball off the fence
Off the
also
fence.
at 7 years old?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, things that I dreamed about. All right. So Mount Vernon, back in the day, I mean, when you were playing, was a pretty big little league,
Yes.
right?
Very big, yes.
But baseball wasn't, and I don't think still is, the premier sport in Mount Vernon,
No.
right? They were known mostly for basketball, right? The Williams brothers and I think the McRaes.
The yes.
McRaes, right? And I grew up in the Bronx. We had like Rod Strickland, you know, a few miles away. What was baseball like for you at a young age? Like, was it typical, I only played Little League and then I was done? At what age did you start playing a little bit more?
I tell you, you know, Mount Vernon, you can't say Mount Vernon without Bob Cimino, right? Bob Cimino was the guru of basketball, still is the guru of basketball, still at Mount Vernon High School. At that time, he was one of the commissioners for Little League.
Okay.
So he took the program, Herb Alston were the two main guys who created, or I wouldn't say create, but kept Little League going. So even when we play Little League, we still play travel ball too. So you have Mount Vernon Red, Mount Vernon Blue, and you stay within your neighborhood. So it was like an all-star team. So we took that all-star team and we started to travel a little bit, you know.
So even 35 years or so ago, you were doing that stuff.
Yes.
See, because growing up in Co-op City, for me, we had Little League, and then we had All-Stars. Mm-hmm. And then once that was done, until you were on the big field at like 13, there was no summer ball at all.
Correct.
For us.
Right.
For us. So that's kind of cool that you were able to do that. Where'd you go? Like when we say travel ball, like it was kind of big. You know, I'd go from Mount Vernon to Scarsdale. Yeah. Or is that what you're talking about?
We did Scarsdale. We did New Rochelle, but we also went to Staten Island. We went to Pennsylvania. We went up a little bit, up north a little bit, but it wasn't that far to where we had to spend the night. So we would go play, come back, and then if we were playing again tomorrow, you know, the next day we were going back down. So hotels wasn't a big thing for any family. Right. It was like, all right, we're making a drive. And we're coming right back.
And coming right back.
Yeah.
So you'd be home for dinner.
Oh, absolutely.
You get onto a big field, right? And you're killing it in Little League. You get onto a big field. What was that transition like? Do you remember how hard it was at 13, or was it hard for you at 13? Because for most people going back in the day, like 50-70 didn't exist. It was right from 46-60 to 60-90.
Right.
What was that like?
So this is where I give a lot of credit to my mother. She understood the dimensions of the field at a certain age. Like, you're going to be here, you're going to be moving up, you're going to be moving up. I'll be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had a long hallway from our living room to the front door. We would throw them. She's playing catch with me. I'm barely wide awake, and I'm wiping boogers out of my eyes. And she's like, you better wake the F up because this one's coming. And she was humming it. So, and then my other brother, Alan, he joined in. Next thing you know, I'm outside, 6 o'clock at night, and we doing long toss. He's hitting ground balls at me, and, I was through the ringer with training.
Right.
Because we had a German Shepherd that my brother controlled. He made that damn dog run after me. And if I got caught, I was getting bit in the butt.
So you were training without even knowing
God,
you were training, just like self-preservation.
Oh, absolutely.
So mom helped you get ready for the transition because, for most people, like just making the throw, right? Like making the throw is hard enough. Running, an extra 30 feet on a big field is a lot. But so mom helped you get through that?
Yeah, she helped me get through that.
No big deal for you?
No big deal, but I was slow as molasses.
Okay.
So that extra 30 feet kind of kicked my butt a little bit. But as I started to get comfortable, I fell in love with it. And when I fell in love with it, I started to, train more. My mother found more gadgets. My brother found more gadgets, resistor bands and pulleys and this stuff before they became even big what they are today. And, my arm just got stronger. Just a lot of work.
So you get to Mount Vernon High School, which, again, no disrespect, but it's not exactly a hotbed of baseball in Westchester County. So I have to assume that you kind of stuck out at Mount Vernon.
I did.
Varsity in ninth grade type of thing?
Actually, varsity in eighth. Varsity in eighth. I was on JV. My coach at that time, John DiCarlo, was absolutely amazing. And how they always do postseason call-ups and stuff like that. He was like, "No, you need him up there." So I'm up there with a lot of big guys. I'm there just amazed, like, oh, my God, I'm this eighth grader amongst giants and some really quality ball players. So when I got my first shot, I was nervous. I almost pissed my pants, putting on that uniform and go out to shortstop. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Freshman now?
No, I'm still in eighth grade.
Eighth grade, he let you go play shortstop. Okay.
So, all right, go out there. I'm nervous. I'm like, oh, my gosh, what am I supposed to do? And then all of a sudden, I see my mom's, and she goes like this. Calm down. Cool. No problem. I locked in, ended up making some plays, high-fiving everybody, and it just became like I became part of the family.
So you kept that position for 5 years.
Yes.
Right. You were the starting shortstop. All 5 years, you're playing pretty good levels of travel ball at this point. When do you know that it's real for you? Like you have an opportunity to make a living playing baseball. When do people start reaching out to you, Chris?
They started to reach out around 10th grade. And a lot of that, because I was also part of another company called Frozen Ropes, right, with Tony Albertini. I did a lot of training with him. We did area code games. We did a bunch of other different things at a young age. So he was kind of like in control of my recruiting process. And then my head coach, Joseph Masella, who was a pro ball player as well.
Friend of mine. Joe Mazzella's a good friend,
Yeah. So he became like a second dad.
Okay.
He took me underneath his wing. Then my family got involved, Garvin Alston, Herb Alston. And then another guy, Cliff Gonzalez, who used to play for the Mets. Yes. Yeah.
I played for his father, Manny.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah, I know Cliff very well.
Yeah,
Yes.
so a lot of those guys I came in contact with, and I owe a lot of respect to them.
Was there any thought of going to college? And if so, where do you think you would have gone?
So that's a very good question. At one point, I didn't want to go to college.
Okay.
The reason was because I was afraid of getting hurt and my career would end. So I ended up having, and Blankmeyer hates me to this day, but we love each other. He gave me the best package from St. John's. If I wasn't going to sign, that's where I was going to go. I mean, but I had Old Dominion, I had FSU, ASU. I had over 45 different offers, and St. John's was my favorite place.
Were you not interested in going to college, or you just weren't interested because of the potential of getting hurt? Like, because for some people, college is just not the right venue for them or the right avenue for them.
Yeah. So it's two reasons. One, it was the fear of getting hurt. Two, it was the financial part of it. My mother was making great money. Then she ended up hurting her back. So now here goes the finances. Here, the money coming in versus the money going out. So the big piece was that's where I want to go.
So you felt the pressure of your mom getting hurt and not wanting to put strain on her to have to figure out how to finance it. And I see you getting emotional when you talk about your mom. I know how incredibly special she was to you. So you didn't have to deal with that. You didn't have to deal with St. John's. You didn't have to deal with that because in the 1997 draft, you got chosen in the 14th round by the Milwaukee Brewers.
Correct. Yep.
Tell me about that day for you. Tell me how exciting that was for you.
So that day, I actually found out 2 days before that.
That they were going to take you.
And the way I found out was my father. Don't ask me how. He knew about it. We on the phone. I'm like, Dad, stop playing. You're lying. Don't feed me, crap. So my mother was like, stop feeding them this BS and they hang up. 2 days later, I'm getting this phone call. And I'm like, wait, who? Garcia? Mr. Garcia? Like, the one that came and scouted me at my high school? Like, he was like, yeah. We want to put an offer on the table. We want to set up a meeting. So I never been the kid to get excited until I actually saw it happen. So when I saw him at my door in my kitchen, sitting at the table and just talking away, I was like that 8th grader playing varsity baseball. Like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening. So it was very exciting.
So again, it happens today. It doesn't happen as much. You were a high school sign, which is just mind-boggling to me. Not mind-boggling from an athletic or a tools aspect. Mind-boggling from a maturity standpoint. How difficult it has to be for an 18-year-old kid to at least, 3 to 4 years in between high school and a kid that's being drafted junior in college, right? Now you're this little kid and you're on your way to Arizona.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So they wanted me to fly.
And having to leave mom,
oh
right?
My God. And my mom don't like to fly.
Okay.
So, leaving and traveling wasn't the issue, right? It was adjusting and adapting to the Midwest, because before I went to Arizona, I had to go to Utah. And me, like, what the hell is in Utah? But it's one of the most prettiest cities I ever been to, and adjusting to that culture. Instead of you seeing tall buildings and sky rises, you seeing mountains and goats.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute. There, and I got, what's that, a goat? That's a sheep? That's a bull? Like,
right. You could be any further from Mount Vernon.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Now, I got this New York accent.
Right.
They, my nickname Rock came from because they said I sounded like Chris Rock.
Okay.
So that's how rock came along. I got my New York swag. We had the Wallabies and Timbs, and I'm seeing guys wearing cowboy boots and, with spurs on the back and seeing this stuff. And they looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm looking at them like, you know what? This is the culture I'm in, and I got to adjust. But making that move made me really grow up really fast. I had some great people that I met in Utah. Dave and Mel King, they became my host family. And they showed me the ropes, right? They showed me a lot of different things, but also credit to my moms at a young age. If dishes wasn't washed, I'm up at 5 a.m. washing dishes. If the laundry's not clean, you're doing it. We're going to teach you. You're going to teach you how to cook. You're going to teach you how to do this. So she prepared me for that, now. But still being that Mount Vernon kid with that New York swag and New York attitude, I'm walking into a clubhouse, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, yo, you 6'6", you're 6'7", you 250, and I'm only 6'1", pushing 185.
Right.
That was the adjustment, knowing that, man, there's kids that are bigger than me, stronger than me, and faster than me.
Which you had never had around you, because you were the big, strong, fast guy, right? So a little bit humbling at first. Right? Do I belong here? Do I even belong here? Tell me about the first time you stepped on a field in Utah.
So the field that I stepped on was Ogden Raptors, right? Pretty much a brand new stadium, 2 years old.
And this is A-ball?
This is rookie ball.
So
before, they're already halfway in their season, because here in New York we graduate late. So I had to wait 2 more weeks because I wanted to walk the stage. So they was trying to fly me out 2 days after I signed. So now I'm coming into this new place, and I'm, before we even get into a game and get into practice, I walk out on the field. You're looking at 15,000 seats. And I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And when I actually first stepped on the field with 15,000 fans in the stadium, now you get to feel the sound waves coming, and you really can't hear, so adjusting to that. But stepping on a field that's 2 years old, tailor-made, immaculate, like, I was actually like a kid and going to Disney World. I'm rolling around in the dirt, like touching the grass. Like, wait, there's no lumps, right? Smooth. And, meeting the owners and the head grounds crew, if there's something that you don't like, we'll fix it for you.
You start competing in Utah. Do you fit in right away? Skill set wise? I mean, like, are you keeping up with these guys who are bigger, stronger, older? What's the onboarding like for you?
So there was a bunch of guys a lot stronger, but my goal was to beat out anybody that's playing the same position I'm playing. So if you was a shortstop, we'd be friends. Just know that I'm trying to make you become the guy off the bench. And the same thing versus my competitors. So if I played against somebody else, my job is to beat you. Because you can't come into my home and be the big shot. I didn't allow that. And I brought that into my guys on the team as well. As a young kid, where I'm one of 6 that were drafted out of high school for Milwaukee, where now you got other college guys. So, all right, they was expected to be the leaders, but hey, a week later I'm fitting in, understanding how everybody moves. Now I'm going to make my move and become who I am, and let's make things happen.
So how does rookie ball go for you?
So rookie ball went well, honestly. My first year, adjusting, I only hit about 250. 250, and, I led the team in home runs, second in RBIs, and some quality stats. So it was very amazing, honestly. And I ended up staying out there longer because I wanted to get to know the area more. I ended up doing some camps and staying out there. But, like, rookie ball, I had one of my best friends who I still talk to, Alvin Morrow. You know, he's 6'4", 6'5". Tommy Warren, who's in L.A., I still talk to him. He's 6'6", and he was projected to be like the next Darryl Strawberry at that time. You know, so a lot of the guys I play with, I still stay in contact, and rookie ball was what I needed. It was like the battery I needed to keep going.
Okay.
And having the success and, you know, signing your first real autograph.
Sure.
Right? And kids are lining up and, you know, you sign in, and then it's like you getting yelled at because the coach is ready for a meeting. And, all right, I got to sign, and you run. And that right there made me want to do that for the rest of my life.
Rookie ball's over. And walk us through your progression, because you know not a lot of people can say they made it to AAA. I mean,
Right.
you know, you had an unbelievable run. Walk us through from rookie ball and beyond.
So after my first year of rookie ball, I spent another year there. Had some maturity to do because even throughout my career, I wasn't a hitter. I was a swinger. Right? You throw it in the zone, I'm trying to rip the cover off. So as I started to go through and get invited down to winter ball, living in Arizona for 6 months out of the year, I go back and I put up better numbers. From there, I move up to A ball, which started off in Stockton, which was another eye-opener. You know, just a week before we get there, you got one of the worst killing sprees that are happening. So, you know, Stockton Ports, but going there, same thing. Going from having 12 to 15,000 in the stands to having 15. There's 15 people in the stands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just like because they fear certain things.
Sure.
And from there, we moved down to High Desert, Lower Cali, which was absolutely amazing. And I enjoyed my time there. Spent a couple of months in Huntsville, Alabama. Then we went to Indiana. That's where AAA was. I did get some sort of big league time, 2 weeks. Mark Loretta was hurt. Luke Coyer was there, Ron Belliard, a lot of these guys. So going up and then going down and moving around, it was tough. But it was just a good experience because I learned from so many good people, like Rod Carew, Cecil Cooper, you know, a lot of big-time Hall of Famers.
Yeah, Hall of Fame guys,
you know?
man. That's crazy.
And then
That's crazy.
and I give a lot of credit because in big league camp, Jeff Jenkins was one of the guys that stuck by my side. He helped me out, understand certain things. He gave me a ton of bats, you know, going back here, moving here. Even Marquise Grissom. You know, Marquise Grissom was probably one of the shortest guys on the field, but swung a 35.
Wow.
And I'm talking about a heavy 35.
Wow.
You know, I'm like, there's no way you swinging this.
Right.
He was like,
He
watch.
did.
Yeah, he did. With his little accent, he was like, yeah, watch me. And I was like, yo, just amazed. So moving up and down, it was a great experience.
How many years did you end up playing?
So altogether, I ended up playing for 10 years.
10 years. And 2007,
Yep.
6-7, they tell you we're not interested
Right.
anymore. And you know, the dream is coming to an end.
Yeah. So
What was that like? And because this starts the path of the Chris Rowan that I know.
Yes.
And I want to get into that as well and spend a lot of time there. But what was that like for you?
So it was, in a sense, a mutual agreement. Because before my last year, 2 years ago, I ended up blowing my back out. Diving for a ball in shortstop. It took a weird hop. Made the play. Hips hit. I get up. I throw. And I fall right back down to the ground. I couldn't feel my legs. Scary ass moment. So I get up. I walk with a limp. You know, I'm twisting. All right, I'm good. Weeks start to go by. I can't move. So go through therapy. I did the MRI. Shows I had a slight fracture in my L5. I had a degenerated disc. And spinal So, cool, no problem. Just tell me what I got to do. So therapy comes along. I get stronger. During the season, I make another diving play. And I'm thinking like, damn, am I diving wrong? Because it's hurting every damn time. So I'm like, all right, let me just get back into my working out. And I had my last scare. I'm in the box, playing up in Massachusetts. I hit a home run. I couldn't get out of the box. So at that time, Alex Treasure was the catcher on the team we were playing against because he just got traded. So I'm in the box, and all he sees is tears coming down my eyes. So he helps me off. And I'm like, okay. I walk in like it's my cane. You know, my coach comes over and is like, all right, you're done. I said, no shit. I know I'm done because I can't move. So we go through the whole therapy. We go through everything. I finish out the season. I come back in. Now they're going into my last year, and I'm still having issues. So once the season was over, just walked into the office. And I'm like, hey, I'm done. And there was like, this is one reason why we called you. They also called me into the office at the same time. And I'm like, because I'm not going to have surgery. I said, I don't want surgery. I said, I did my 10 years. I loved every moment of it. There was no depression or second thought. But depression did hit me once I got done. I didn't even come back home to New York. At that time, during my career, I ended up getting married, and I ended up having 2 boys. So my home was in California. So went into California, then we moved back to Utah. And once all of that started to happen, now I'm getting depressed, right? Needed to come back home. Relationship failed. We get divorced. It sucked because I left my 2 boys. But if I didn't, I probably would have been in jail. So come back home, and that's when we meet.
Yeah, I mean, I knew who you were. I didn't know you. I remember it was right after you got home. It was Frozen Ropes and White Plains. And I just remember saying to you, hey, man, you know, playing for fun is different than playing for a job and a career. Let this settle for a while. And then come back and play, and you were like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm good." We'll get to that too, because you know later on, Chris Rowan, if you weren't playing on the field somewhere, nobody, that was you. Anyway, the Chris Rowan that I know, the Chris Rowan that is best known throughout. Now, Jordan is 32. My oldest son is 32. You were strength training him when he was 15, 16 years old. What got you into 2 things? Strength and conditioning and the passion that you have specifically for girls softball.
All right. So what got me into conditioning, I give it to 3 guys. And they were my trainers throughout my career. Jeff Paxson, Keith Sayers, and Mike Clark. Mike Clark is the president and CEO of NASM, which is one of the 5 certifications that I have. So working with them and seeing what they do and changing lives and keeping people on the field, I grew an attachment to that. So a lot of my players got hurt. I was hurt too, so learning the body, learning how everything moves, and I fell in love with it. So even when I was living in California, I became a small owner of a Gold's Gym. I was training bodybuilders, more athletes, the 9-to-5s, the weekend warriors, and I just loved it because it was like a walking billboard for me, And as you know me, I don't do any advertising. I don't do nothing. So it just shows like I don't want to just train anybody. I want you to be serious about what it is. So that's how I got started into it. And I would say that's probably going into my 7th season of pro ball.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah. And then once I got back home, and first it was baseball, right? Because that's where I was just at in. With Frozen Ropes, working for corporate, opening up facilities, training their staff, I had to learn both. And working with alongside Rob Cruz, Ryan Castle, who were the main owners of the facility, just paying attention to how they did things. How they taught. All right, so he teaches this way. This one is perfect for hitting. This one is on the defensive side. I wanted to do both. I didn't want to be labeled as, you're only doing defense, you're only doing this. So when we got into, I want to say, more into the travel teams and all the teams coming in, I was the guy that I wanted to be on it. You didn't have to go ask and find instructors. I worked with Mercy when they came in. I worked with all these other different high schools that came in, and I just fell in love with it. So understanding how the swing works, the throw, pitching, overhand, fast pitch, it became a big passion.
But girls are incredibly different. It's similar and different, right? The biggest difference for me is the ball from a baseball standpoint is coming from here, and girls it's coming from underneath. The swing is generally the same unless you start adding slapping and stuff into that. But working with girls as opposed to boys, I know what my answer is. What drives you to continue 20 years later? And you do a lot of stuff with boys, but what drives you to stay in girls softball at the level you're at?
They never stop learning.
They never stop wanting to learn.
Correct.
That's the difference between girls and boys.
100%.
They want to please.
Yes.
They listen to you. Boys don't.
No.
At a certain level, they know more than you do.
Correct. 100%. And, when I officially walked away from, I wouldn't say it walked away from him, but transferred really over to softball is when I had two kids come in and they talk about, well, I have a regimen with my dad. Okay, no problem. So I'm standing there. So now here comes the father. And this is on the bottom floor of Frozen Ropes. The basement. Ceilings are low. You can literally go like this and you're touching it. And the father comes in and he just goes off. So I go, I'm confused. Like, what just happened? I understand you do a regimen. Well, that's not how I know it. Okay, so help me out. Did you play anywhere? No. So how do you know if I'm doing something wrong or right? Well, just because of my research. Cool, no problem. So I said, listen, I'm the manager. I said, I'm going to walk out of this session. I said, what's going to happen is you're going to get your money back for this session. So he grabs me. And his son is walking towards me with a bat. And this kid's only 12 years old. And I'm just like, yeah, this is where I need to shut it down with boys. Because I'm ready to punch both of them in their throat. Like, literally. And, even to this day, like, now a lot more egos, I'm not an ego guy. I'm here to help. I want to get you to a certain level.
You're the furthest thing from an ego guy. I think what impresses me most, and I think the reason that we have been drawn to each other, we love to laugh with each other. We love to eat with each other.
Oh, definitely.
But we also want to see the best out of every kid and help each one of them reach their maximum potential, whatever that is.
Correct.
For me, I go back to whether they don't or do care. Girls, the perception is they do. The perception is they want to make you happy. They want to learn. They're soaking up knowledge like sponges. Because I talk about it at least once or twice every episode. You don't fake love and passion.
Right.
You've been coaching White Plains High School for how many years now?
So 3 years as head coach, 10 years as an assistant.
So 13 years in total, just high school ball. The Empire State Huskies, you were involved for how many years?
10 years.
10 years.
Yes.
This is year 2 or 3 at year 3 in my Fury program. And you have your choice. Like, you could do anything you want or not. You choose to work with young ladies.
Yes. Yes. Just, it just goes back because, once again, they're like sponges. They continuously want to learn. They continuously want to grow. So there's no, of course they're emotional creatures. They get a little upset, but it's easier to connect because being raised by my mother, learning how to connect with a woman, a female, made it easier for me. My father was around but not around. So not learning anything from him, and the same thing with my brothers. I'm the youngest of four. So I have an older sister who passed away 15 years ago. My two brothers, they were always at the house. They was all about money, creating, some sort of legacy and stuff like that. So me being in the house and learning from my mother, learning how to speak and how to handle females in a sense, and I hear her voice all the time.
You command respect with your girls. You are no pushover here, right? Whether you connect with them or not, they're scared to let you down, right? You hold them to a high standard. How many practices you're allowed to miss? If I'm not early, I'm late. What my warm-ups are going to be like. So they know what to expect from you.
Yes.
How important is the communication part when you're dealing with them? Because, again, in 2025, parents are involved, overly in some cases, but the regular communication with the kids, you're telling them what they're being held to.
Yes.
What's it like dealing with that?
So I let them know that I'm two different people. When I'm coaching, this is what I expect as a coach. Now, when the game and practice is over, I'm going to come to you as a friend, and we're going to talk about what just happened, like your emotions, your feelings. How can I help you to become better? And that became my staple in how I approach softball.
Do you yell on the field?
Yes and no. When I do yell, it's for all the players to hear me. I won't single out a player unless you're playing in right field and I'm in third base dugout and I got to talk loud.
No, that's different. That's different. I don't know that I've ever seen you yell. That's why I'm asking. I generally don't yell either. I'll put an arm around somebody and we'll talk about it. I don't even sometimes wait till after the game in case the situation happens again and they understand what they did right or wrong. Nothing that you do, I feel like, is half-assed. Nothing. You talk about never advertising, right? Never advertise strength and conditioning because people knew if they were going to work out you're going to work them hard. People don't know that Mariano Rivera tore his ACL.
Correct.
Shagging fly balls.
Yep.
Obviously, he had reconstructive surgery. You were his trainer.
Yes.
People don't know that. You don't advertise that. You could get a ton of business or could have gotten a ton of business over the last 10 years. Why is that not important to you?
Because they're human beings, right? So advertising somebody I work with they're human. So I want you to be able to work with me for my program and my knowledge, not because I train some pro that your kid inspires to be like, right? He's a freak of nature, along with other players that from the Yankees I trained with and the Mets that I trained. But it just wasn't me because I want them to know I'm here for your kid and you're here because you want to get better. Oh, not so you can say, well, I train with somebody's such and such as trainer. No.
Oh, no, nothing but respect. It's just in a world of social media, kind of look at me, look what I'm doing, right? What the audience doesn't understand either is that in addition to coaching at Fury, doing private lessons, doing strength and conditioning, coaching at White Plains, you're also the head strength coach at Monroe College for not only baseball and softball.
Correct.
You are an assistant coach at Mercy College. When do you sleep, man?
That's a good question. I sleep 5 hours and I'm up.
5 hours and you're up.
And I'm up.
What does a day off look like for Chris Rowan? Is there one?
At this time of the year, there is no day off.
Right.
Even if I'm able to get to sleep in, I'm still up at 5:30. I get to lay around, go through social media. That only lasts about 5 minutes, and then I'm figuring out, planning for this team, what we're going to do with this team and this practice and my clients that are coming in. So my day off is literally still very active. Even if I don't have work, you see me, I'm in here, I'm in the gym, I'm hanging around.
I see it. I see it.
People be like, you got work? Nope, just coming to hang out. So,
do you love what you do?
I do. I honestly say I do.
Again, I know you do. You can't fake love and passion. I'm going to tell the audience a little bit of something here. So Chris is a freak of nature. I mean, he's a little older now and he's a little bit bigger now, but I didn't tell you how. You're the one that pointed that out.
Because it's true.
Chris is 45 years old today, and I don't care if this sounds politically incorrect. I don't give a shit. When Chris turned 40, I signed his rights. I owned his rights to play with me in every over 40 softball, baseball, because this guy is a freak of absolute nature. But he broke my heart about a year ago. He absolutely broke my heart. He's hysterical laughing because as most of my guys end up leaving me, he left me for this other horrible sport. It's just this most disgusting sport called golf. And this freak of nature ends up now playing in the snow and playing every opportunity you get. And it wasn't like he just plays. This guy went from not playing to consistently shooting low 90s now.
Low 90s, yes.
Low 90s like in no time. People hate people like you, me included, because it's not easy to do. What is next for Chris Rowan? What do you see for the next 10 years for Chris Rowan's life?
That's a very good question. Right now, the big piece is doing something with golf, honestly. I don't know what that is going to entail.
Like you personally, like a senior tour?
Something. That's a goal, right? So now that I'm into it, now I got to set something for me to do.
Interesting.
Right? That's one. And the biggest thing is just continuously just in 10 years, I just want to continue to do what I'm doing. Being an influence to the youth and, softball, baseball, continuously get them growing, get them to where they want to be, get them to the next level. And once again, possibly maybe open up a facility. I used to have one in California. I had a business partner there. So a lot of work, but it's something that could happen. And in 10 years, that's it. I just want to see all my kids be healthy. My two boys, my daughter's 9. So
is she gonna play softball?
So I'm going to tell you about my daughter. My daughter is one of the most big heart individuals, right? Loving. Whatever sport is on that day, she falls in love with it, right? So in school, they were doing basketball. So they did basketball for 2 weeks. What did we do?
Basketball.
We're going to do basketball. It was tennis. We did tennis. We did soccer. We did everything. So she wants to do it, but she is so into the arts. She wants to play the piano. She wants to do the violin. She wants to draw. She's very creative, right? And she don't get that from me. She get that from her mama.
Right. She's very well-rounded.
Yes. She get that from her mama. I don't know where they come up with this stuff, and I'm like, yo, I never thought of that, but she will. And she's growing into what it is that she wants to do, right? So tennis is still number one for her. She is into swimming too. I hate swimming, but I'll get in that water.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I mean, swimming is the best thing for you physically. Why don't you take her on the golf course?
So I took her to a range.
Okay.
And when I tell you, she put on a show.
Wow.
Yeah. So after 5 swings of swinging and missing, she takes off her jacket and she goes, "Dad, I got this." All right, let me see it. She brings it back, and she's hitting it 20, 30 yards,
Wow,
right?
wow.
So she's getting excited, and, that's soon to come.
Wow.
It's as soon as the weather gets warm, because
nothing better.
Yeah, she ain't getting out there with me in this weather.
No.
No
But
shot.
there's nothing better than spending time with your kids and sharing passion, no matter what she's doing. It's supporting her, whether it's piano or arts or whatever. Whatever you do, is going to be done with love and passion. That's who you are. I don't want to tear you up again, but your mother would be incredibly proud to see everything that you're doing on a daily basis and helping every other kid the way she helped you.
Yeah.
She's just an incredible influence on you, and therefore now you're an incredible influence on the next generation, man. And thank you for being you. Thank you for being part of my family here. I don't know about all that of you opening up your own facility. We're going to have to negotiate that and talk about that. But anything you do, I wish you the very best. And thank you for being with us today,
Thank you.
man.
This has been awesome. I appreciate it.
Little personal behind the scenes with master trainer, ex-professional baseball player Chris Rowan. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time on 90 Feet Away.